super exciting topic, profit first. Who wouldn't want to put profit first, right? Just give you a bit of a background around today. Putting profit first this financial year. We've moved into the financial year, scary already, because the first month's halfway through. And for me, whenever I talk to people in business, I say you must have your budgets done before the start of financial year. And most people think they've got them done. They start getting them done. They never finalize them, and the year just rolls by. The start of financial year is very significant for people in business because you have to pay tax, number one. But number two is it gives you a great excuse to stop, put the handbrake on, look at the business and work out what do you want this year. Now, this sounds a bit odd, right? When I say, what do you want this year? But for people in business, don't realize this. You get to choose your own adventure in business. And if you don't choose, it chooses you. And when it chooses you, it's a bit like a 4-year-old taking a Great Dane for a walk. The question is, who's walking who, right? So today's your opportunity to understand how to put profit first. We're going to talk about a few different things in there. I'd like to do a quick introduction of our presenters for today. You probably can't see all the little writing in there, but you've got Marissa and Ashley, who you can see. They're going to wave so you know who they are. And we're going to be talking about how can you make sure that this financial year profit is a priority in your business. So before we get into that, for those who I don't know, my name's David Guest. I've been doing this for about 24 years this year, which is terrifying. It's nearly a quarter of a century. And all I've been doing for the past 24 years is talking to business owners about how to become more profitable and how to fast track growth. We realized this year that the main thing we do is help people build self-managed teams. And for me as a business owner, the idea of a self-managed team is nirvana, because it means that they take care of themselves while I can take care of the leadership and direction of the business. So let's talk about this thing called business, not busyness, right? Who's in busyness right now? Can I just get a quick show of hands of those people who are just constantly, yeah, okay. You got to stop that. Busyness is a justification for not being clear on what's going on in the business. And people always tell me this when I say, how's business? They go, we're flat out. We just are so busy. And I go, what does that look like? Are you making money? And they go, well, I'm not sure. And I go, what do you mean you're not sure? And they go, well, I don't know because I'm too busy. And if you're too busy to know if you're making money, how can you tell if you're on the right track? The second thing is that we're not profitable. We end up making enough revenue or turnover to support the business, but profit is optional. And what that usually means is that we'll make enough to pay the bills, we'll make enough to pay the wages, the rent, everything else except for ourselves. And then we use the justification of, well, I'm a business owner, I get what's left over. Well, why don't we make it not an optional thing, but a thing that you choose to make? Can't find good people. This is one I hear a lot about. It's a hard market to find people in. Yeah, sure it is. But it doesn't mean that they don't exist. It just means you need to get better. And the last one is just being stuck on this treadmill, and we photocopy the year. So some people have been in business for 24 years. And some people, it's 1 year photocopied 24 times. Who knows what I mean, right? Photocopied years. Yep, because they move so quickly, right? So what we really want is less stress, number one, because I think that's a choice. Number two is we want more profit. And we're going to talk a bit about that today. Number three is we're going to talk about how you can find these great team members that exist that aren't showing up to interview with me. And finally, the idea of running a business is freedom. Now, I often say to people, business is choose your own adventure. But if you don't choose it, it chooses you. And we're going to talk a bit about how you change that today. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is why people get stuck in busyness. The first reason is simple, because when people go into business in Australia, you generally just go and apply for a thing called an ABN, Australian Business Number, and you now become officially a free tax collector for the government. But more importantly, you think you're a business, but you might be just self-employed. And the way that shows up is someone who's busyness all the time. They do a bit of admin, usually after hours, because they're too busy during the day. And they do bugger all sales and marketing. And the reason they do bugger all sales and marketing is that they get most of their business through word of mouth or referral. Who's in that camp? Most of my business comes from word of mouth. Yeah, that's awesome, right? Because that just means you're doing a good job. But here's the real reason those people don't sell or market or have a marketing system is because they're busy already. And if I said to that person, we're going to double your business over the next 12 months, they would freak out. Because doubling a business when you're already busy just makes you twice as busy. This is the real issue. The real issue is that the person running the business is in the center of everything. They've got a finger in every single pie. Nothing happens unless it goes through them, which means that we can't scale this business. We can get a few more clients for you, but we can't create a marketing system that's going to consistently build the business's profit. So what does the ideal business look like? It looks more like this, right? We have equal distribution of operations, sales and marketing, and admin. In other words, it's working in synergy. But here's the key difference. This guy, which is you, and that's not me, you, that's you, needs to remove themselves from the day-to-day operation. Now, it looks easy on a picture because we just moved the box to the side, right? The reality is this is one of the most painful transitions that you will ever make in a business. Because if you're self-employed and you know that you're self-employed and you're happy with that, excellent. But if you're self-employed and you think you're building a business asset that you can sell in the future, I got some bad news for you. Because in the middle, when you're stuck there, what happens is the business is you. So today we're going to be talking about three things, and I just want to draw this out quickly. The three things we're going to be talking about is, number one is a plan. So what's the plan going to be for the next financial year? Number two is we're going to talk about finance. So how do we put profit first? And number three, we're going to talk about sales. And the reason I want to talk about sales is that most people don't realize sales is directly related to profit. And the better you are at selling, the more profitable you become. Now, I'm not talking about the more revenue, I'm talking about more profitable, because a good salesperson can differentiate their product from everything else in the market, which means we can make better margins. So this is where we're going to go today. We're going for an hour and a half. For those who have to leave early, you're going to miss out on some of the best stuff. If you can hang around, you're going to get it all. So let's get stuck into this. I don't really want to sort of beat around the bush. First thing, let's talk a bit about planning. Now, for those who know that little picture there, it's a classic. For us that are older, we know exactly what that is. That's Alice in Wonderland. And she's sitting there talking to this cat called the Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat. She looks at the cat and says, "Excuse me, sir, there's so many signs on this signpost. Can you tell me which road I should take?" And the cat says, "Well, it depends where you're going." And Alice says, "I don't really know." So the cat says, "Well, then it doesn't matter which road you take." Now, this is the problem I see with most people in business, because they don't begin with the end in mind. And when I say end, I don't mean let's get 5 more clients. When I say end, I mean, what will your business look like when it's finished? I want you to write this question down if you haven't done this before. What will my business look like when it's finished? Because finished is an interesting term, right? What does finished mean? Because I know some of you are thinking, finished, I've got plenty of years left in me. I'm not finishing. Sure, but if I go to a builder and I say, "Build me a house," and he says, "Great, how many floors do you want?" And I say, "I don't know, just start." That would be crazy, right? But how many people in business are in there saying, "I don't know what it's going to look like when it's finished. I just need a few more clients. I just need to find my next recruit. I just this, I just that, I just that." And I'm telling you now, that's fine, but it's not building anything. All it is doing is being pressure prompted by what you need right now. So we're going to talk about how you can build your business plan in 4 easy steps. Let's get into it. I picked up this quote from a fellow by the name of Ryan Deese, and it was super interesting because it resonated with me. And I'm just going to get you to read it twice. The first time is, the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is. And the reason I need you to get this message into your head is, if you're trying to build equity or value in your business, you need to remove yourself. Because as long as you're in the center of it, you can't sell it, right? Because anyone buying it is going to have to be as good as you to be able to run it, which limits the market. Now, marketing 101, if you have a very small market, you don't have a lot of options, which means you're not going to get the price you want. Now, there's 3 ways that you will finish your business, by the way. The first one is the most common one in Australia. 80% of businesses will just close their doors. They won't sell. They might sell their assets, but there's no equity in the business. There's nothing wrong with that as long as that's what you know you're building, because it just means there's no equity, no asset value in your business. Option number 2 is you sell your business. Now, who's in this situation where they would like to sell their business at some stage in the future? Who knows that? Excellent. So if you know you're going to sell your business, you need to answer 2 questions to me. How much do you want to sell it for? And on what date? How much do you want to sell it for and on what date? Because that's going to introduce a few new questions, which is, who's going to buy it? Why are they going to buy it? How is it valued? Now, if you can start to think about the value that you want to sell it for and the date, you can build to that thing. Does that make sense for everyone? Just nod if you're with me, right? Because if you don't do that, what happens is business runs. 5 years turns into 20 years. 20 years later, you look around, you go, "I want to sell my business. How much for? $1 million. Why? How come 1 million? That's how much I need to retire. It's got nothing to do with the value of the business and everything to do with what your personal needs are. So let's get through how we get you out of this equation. First thing, we talked about 4 steps, excuse me for throat. There's 4 levels that I have seen in my 24 years of working with business owners. There's 4 levels of growth that you will go through. The first one down the bottom is chaos. And that's where most people spend most of their time. Now, you know you're in chaos when you wake up every single day and you have tons of emails, tons of letters, tons of phone calls and things to do. And that's what fills your day. And that's where busyness occurs in that red level, chaos. And to get out of chaos, we need to get into control. And I'm going to talk about the steps to get you there. Once we're in control, then we can grow the business because we can see what's actually happening. Now, I'll go through the detail for this in a moment. But think about chaos to control, about having a sense of what's going on in the business through reporting and numbers. Okay. So chaos to control has 3 elements to me. The first one is you need to know what you're building. In other words, you know what your business will look like when it's finished, number 1. Number 2, you have some sort of vision that you can share with people in writing. Number 3, you have some goals, right? You know exactly what you're trying to build. So you've got some milestones along the way. Now, if you've got that, you've got the first piece of the chaos to control puzzle. You know where you're going. And so now for Alice in Wonderland, she actually can tell which sign or which road she should take because she's got a destination. Think of the GPS that you have in your car, right? It's a great little device. Everyone has them in their pockets these days. And it only really does its job if you put in the destination. If you have no destination, it'll tell you where you are, but it won't tell you whether you need to turn left or right at the end of the street. So you must get some level of vision in writing before we start this journey. The second piece of the puzzle is the planning piece. And I'll go through this in a moment. Actually, I'll do it this way. So if we think about that first piece, this is what's known as aspiring. So you need to have clear vision. The second piece here is we need a plan. Now, I don't think we need a plan. We need a planning mechanism because your GPS that you have in your car is planning all the time. It's looking at traffic conditions. It's looking at where you are in the street. It's looking as to whether you followed its directions or not. And it changes the plan according to where you are right now or traffic conditions ahead. So it's dynamic. And you often see that because it does this thing called rerouting. In your business plan needs to have the function of rerouting built into it because no one planned for COVID. But if you didn't rewrite your plan when COVID hit, you would have been in big trouble, okay? So planning is a mechanism, it's a verb, to plan. It's not a noun, a plan, it's the verb to plan. And so you should be doing planning all the time. For us, when we work with people in business, every 2 months, we write a new plan and we look at the vision. We say, what's the objective of the business and what do you need to fix next? The last piece of this puzzle is a thing called tracking. Now, tracking to me is measuring performance through numbers. And the reason we use numbers is the numbers do not lie. And we need to keep a track of how we're going through numbers, not through going in and checking everyone's work. Because if you're checking work, if people are asking you to review things all the time, you're micromanaging. And if you're micromanaging, the busier you get as a business, the busier you get as the owner. Is this making sense for everyone so far? Cool. What I'm going to suggest to you is if you don't have these 3 things, be really careful of growing the business. Because if your business is in chaos and you grow it, you're only going to grow the chaos. And if you're growing the chaos, it's going to create more stress, more anxiety, and it'll break. And the reason it'll break is because there's just too much going on. It's overwhelmed. Who's had that feeling of overwhelm in their business? Can I get a quick show? Yeah. If you get it, you know that you're starting to lose control. So the solution to that is go back to what is my vision? What is my planning mechanism? And how am I tracking? Now, this will not grow your business. It just plugs holes. And when we plug holes, we can start talking about how do we grow the business. So let's talk about stage 2, the cash flow engine. Now, the cash flow engine is about growth, okay? In there, there's 3 things. The very first thing is we need to be able to attract new clients. So we need a marketing system, right? We need to attract. And to attract new clients, the way we do it is we create a marketing process. It could be outbound telemarketing, which Ashley will talk about today. It could be paid advertising. It could be networking. I don't know what it is for you. It could be all of those things. The second thing we need in the cash flow engine is we need to be able to convert, okay? And the last piece is we need to be able to deliver our service. attract, convert, and deliver. Now, I call it an engine, okay? Because there's two ways this works in a business. For some people, attract, convert, and deliver is their job. Who's in that situation right now where they do all the marketing, conversion, and delivery? Okay, here's the bad news. You're going to run out of capacity. This is what happens. And when you run out of capacity, one of two things will occur. Your quality will either drop because you don't have enough time in your day, or you put the handbrake on because you're terrified about actually taking on any more work right now. So when this happens to people, they say, this is it. I've hit the end. There's nothing else I can do. And I'll suggest that the next step of the process for growing a business is where it all comes together. And the reason I call it cash flow engine is because not only should you be doing it yourself when you first start, but you should also be documenting your workflows. Because the idea is to build a system that other people can work in. Does this make sense for everyone? Build a system that other people can work in. Now, when we do this is systemization, this is workflows, this is documentation, all of those sorts of things. And the reason we do that is so we can move into the next level of growth, which is building my team growth. Now, in team growth, okay, we've got three elements, right? The first one is we do need to recruit. We need to delegate. And then we need to retain. So we need to keep these people once we've got them on board. So there's three elements: recruit, delegate, and retain. And I'll make this look a bit nicer in a minute for you. This is just my scrappy handwriting. My mum said I should have been a doctor because my writing is so bad. Then here's the reality. That's what my writing is, and I'm not a doctor. I might be a doctor of business. So what we start to realize is we need to build this team. And I'll tell you the best kept secret in business: finding and keeping great people. Right? When you learn to find and keep great people, your world will change. Your world will change. Because what it means is that now I can scale. So if we think about what happens, what we've been describing here, we've got sort of a couple of levels that we've gone through so far. This first part here, being in chaos and moving from chaos to control, is about moving from being the technician to the manager. Right? We're trying to upgrade our skill set. So instead of doing the work ourselves, we're getting to a point where we're building a system we can put other people into. And the reason we do that is because we're building a scalable business system. Excuse me, frog. The second part of this process is once we've built our scalable business system, we now look for people to fill in those spaces. Now that's management. So we've got to be a pretty good manager to find and keep good people. And the reason we're doing all this is so you can go back to what you truly desire to do for a lot of people, which is become the leader. Now, I don't believe you can lead a business if you don't have a team. And I don't believe you can have a team if you're not managing those people. So you can see there's three elements that we're going through here. The first one is being the technician in the business, working in, not on. The second one is being the manager, which is managing our team and making sure they're doing their job, which includes systemizing the business and training them into it. And then the final piece of the puzzle is that the business owner is freed up to work out strategic direction to become the leader. And when we move into leverage up here, there's a couple of elements that we'll talk about in here. But let's make this a lot easier to understand by doing this. For a lot of us, we're in business and where we are right now is here. And when we say, let's create some vision for where you want to be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, or when my business will be finished, we have a goal. And that goal is all the way up here. Now, what we know is it's not a direct path from where you are right now to where you want to be. So we realize that we probably have to navigate this roadway that's going to take us through this journey to get us to our goal. So there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of moving parts in growing this business, and they're not all the same, right? But they fall into these categories. And in my mind, the categories are: get a structure in place so you can see how things are going without having to be there. That's chaos to control. Number two, build a process for acquiring clients, for converting them, and for delivering the service. Now, even if you deliver that process yourself, that's fine in the first stage, but build it with an intent to get other people to take over some of those activities. Everyone make sense on this so far? Just thumbs up if you're with me on it. Awesome. And when you build this workflow, you don't need to employ people straight away. Build the workflow knowing that in the future, someone will probably do some of these things. Then we can move into this team growth area. And team growth will occur when you put the right people on the bus. Now, if you don't have processes for people to follow when you employ them, They will do whatever they're capable of doing, not what you need them to do. And I often see people who are scared of recruitment because it's expensive. It's the most expensive line item on most people's P&L is wages. And if wages are expensive, then you need to think about how are you managing those wages? And they're not going down, they're going up. And the fact that they're going up means it's even more important to be clear on what value looks like for employees. So we get past this stage of employees doing their job properly, the system working all right, and having a monitoring system. And now we can work on the leverage area. Now, the leverage area for me is about you being a leader. So getting clear on where the industry is going, getting clear on what's coming up. You know, AI just came along and everyone goes, oh my God, AI, it's going to change the world. Yeah, it is. And there's going to be something after AI that changes the world. And there's going to be something after that. And as a business owner, your job is to know what's coming, right? Because if you don't anticipate it, what ends up happening is it affects you anyway. And so you've got to be able to read the play. And when we talk about the leadership or the leverage component up here, this is all about visioning. This is all about looking at market trends. This is all about deciding what the next product will be, because businesses are dynamic. They don't stay the same and they change always. Our job is to anticipate 3 moves in advance, just like a good chess player, what's going to happen in the market and how are we going to deal with it. So you end up in this scenario where you've got all of these elements that I've talked about. Aspire, plan, track, attract, convert, deliver, recruit, delegate, retain. And in this last section of leverage, we're talking about lead, inspire my team, because I want to build a team that's self-managed. I don't want to have to manage them every day. And then I can ascend and get to my goal. Now, for some people, that goal is retirement. For some people, that goal is lifestyle. For some people, that goal is cash. I don't mind, because everybody has their own objective as to why they run a business. And when we begin with an end in mind, the question is, what is that objective and how is your business geared towards getting you there? Now, what I'm showing you today is pretty straightforward in terms of mechanism. The difficulty is actually getting it to happen. And one of my favorite quotes of all time, for those who don't know who this old fellow is, his name's Jim Rohn. And I was introduced to him when I was 21 years old. And one of my favorite quotes that he ever said that resonated with me for so long was this one: never wish life were better, were easier, wish you were better. Because we can't control what happens outside of ourselves. All we can do is react to what happens outside ourselves. So if you want to grow your business, don't just hope that something happens. Don't hope you win the next tender. Try and work out, how can I be a better business owner? How can I be a better manager? How can I be a better leader? And when you develop those skills within yourself, your business will grow. Because most people's business grows to their capacity to run. And if you don't think about how to lift your own capacity, you will get stuck. And getting stuck sometimes is not great. For other people, they don't mind, right? Because it's less pressure. Being small, being one-man band, being self-employed is cool. Don't have to worry about people. I just do my job. But one day you won't be able to do your job. And then what happens? Or one day you'll want to sell your business. And if you're self-employed, it ain't going to be worth much. So I want you to think about, what is your end game? What will my business look like when it's finished? If you haven't done a 5-year vision for your business in writing, you need to do one, right? If you're not sure how to do that, that's where we can help. So 2 things I'd like to talk about before I finish up for this section. The first one is building self-managed teams. Now, we realized this year that for a lot of people, they don't understand the mechanism of building teams. So unless you were in the recruitment industry, chances are this is not your skill set. And you're pretty good at what you do. Most people go into business because they're an expert in their field. Who's in that situation? They're an expert in their field, and that's why they run that business. Great. So here's the bad news, right? That probably means that unless you're in recruitment, that is not recruiting. So you need to learn this trick, right? Because the best kept secret, and I've said it before, is how to find and keep great people. And you've probably heard this one: you should employ people smarter than you. But most of us are terrified about employing people smarter than us because they will steal my business, right? That's because you don't have structure. That's because you're not evolving the thing and you think the idea is worth the money where it's not. It's the execution that's worth the money. So Self-Managed Team Mastery is running next week. It's a 90-minute workshop that I run, and I do a deep dive into each of those 12 areas that I just described to you. The idea is simple. We're going to focus on profitability. We're going to be focusing on performance. If you have employees, we can improve their performance by understanding exactly what they should be doing. We can focus on management, because for most people, they don't know how to manage their team. And so they end up in micromanagement, which means I need to check everything. Now, I'll tell you now, micromanagement is a poor excuse for poor leadership. So we need to develop these skills. How do we manage? How do we lead? How do we plan? And so we're going to be talking about each and every one of these, and literally you'll walk away with a plan at the end of that workshop. So if anyone on this call is available next week on Wednesday for 90 minutes, I'm going to suggest you come to this workshop. There's no charge for this workshop. No charge for this workshop. And the reason I run it is because I believe that this is one of the travesties of people running businesses. Is they don't get it. They don't understand that my team is important and more important than I am. So you need to learn these skills, right? And you need to learn how to find and keep the right people, because it will change your world. Two last things before I wrap this one up. The first one is, this is another one of my favorite business philosophers, Bruce Lee. And he said, knowing is not enough, we must apply. We've got this up on the wall in the office. Willing is not enough, we must do, right? And so if you can't make it to the workshop next week, we've been working on a quiz, a report generator. And this is a tool that we've been putting together. Ryan, who's been working in the office on this for the past 3 weeks, I think. And if you saw the design behind it, it's crazy. It looks like spaghetti. But what we successfully did is we created a survey, which is 9 questions long, 9 questions. Takes about 2.5 minutes to complete. And at the end of the survey, it will create your plan for you and send it to you automatically. So what it does is it assesses where you are on the triangle that I just showed you. It shows you where you need to focus, and it gives you a plan for implementation. So anyone who's interested in doing this, it's just a 3-minute exercise online. You can scan that QR code. I think I'll get Ira to pop into the chat box. Yep, she's done that. The assessment link. Have a go at that. It'll take you 2 minutes. You might be able to do it during the break, if we have one today. But I just want to make sure that you guys understand there is a next step here. There is a thing that you can do to grow your business. And it's not just about saying, hey, we should spend lots of money on things. We've got to start developing your skill set as an owner so that you can become the manager and become the leader. So that's sort of where we are right now with this presentation. The next presentation, which is really, really significant, is going to be around sales. So Ashley Alsadi, you can see her. She's waving in the background just there. There she is. Awesome.
Hello.
I met Ash many, many years ago, and she's one of those rare and unique people, and she's going to tell you why. I'm not going to tell you why, but I will tell you one thing. The thing that I love most about Ashley is she uses telephone as a marketing tool, not just to have conversations with people, but to actually generate leads for business. And to me, the telephone has been around for a very long time, and it is not going away. Right? It still gives you person-to-person contact in real time with somebody. And so she's going to be talking about mastering client magnetism and optimizing your pricing for growth using sales. So Ashley, I'm going to hand over to you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, David. I'm just having a look at what it's saying to me right here. So can everybody see this and hear me loud and clear? I think, David, you can put a thumbs up if you can hear me and see everything. Okay, amazing. So, yes, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, David. What David, I believe, was alluding to was, yes, I am better known as the cold calling queen. So I am that rare and crazy breed that loves doing all the sales grunt work that all of you would probably rather avoid or just don't have time for. And I'm really excited to be here this morning talking to you about putting profit first this financial year. And as David said, my angle is really about, the sales element. How can you actually attract more of the right clientele so that you can actually charge more or be paid a premium price? And also not enter into those like price competitions that we all try to avoid. So I'm excited to share everything that's coming up. But a little bit about me first. I know there's a lot of you on the call and some of you may not know who I am. As I mentioned, the cold calling queen. I had my passion for cold calling start a very long time ago. I think it was about 15 years ago now. I was working in corporate sales. I realized that most people, again, avoided what I love doing. And so I had that entrepreneurial seizure moment that comes from the E-Myth, which is I could be doing this myself. I could be running my own business. So I jumped in the deep end in 2011. I started the Promo Donna, and fast forward to today, we've worked with hundreds of companies all around Australia. generating highly qualified sales leads and sales appointments for their team. So myself and my team definitely love what we do. And I really resonated with what David said too, that finding the right people is everything, because it took me a long time to find my team, but I'm really proud of them too. So let's dive into what I'm here to talk about though. So when we look at putting profit first and attracting more of the right clientele, I always come back to the fact that, running the Promo Donna for as long as I have, over the 13 years, I've also worked with a lot of, individuals and organizations in a training sense and a coaching sense on, how to prospect more effectively. And one of the key things that I dive into upfront is, are you actually targeting your ideal client? Because we all know as business owners, it would be fantastic if we could work with everybody. We start our business, we go, I'm just going to, go this scattergun approach and try and win everybody in the market over. But the fact is, if you're not honing in on your ideal clients, that's when you're not going to be able to achieve those premium high value, fees, and ultimately may not be able to achieve the profit that you want in your business. One thing that I really want to point out here, so we're going to look at, how do we attract more of our ideal clients? Well, one thing is that we need to not only look at the logistical points of, who are our ideal clients. So that's everything from, what are the industries we want to target? What are the decision makers we want to speak to? How many staff do they have? Revenue. They're all the logistics that are still very important. We want to make sure that we are targeting the right types of clientele in that sense. But the other thing that I want you to take away from my presentation is, are you looking at the psychographics? Now, what do you mean by that, Ash? Well, do the people that you talk to have actual problems, points of pain, challenges that you can help them with? Because let's face it, when we are selling, if that person doesn't have a need, the conversation isn't going to go any further. So we really want to identify, do they have a problem that you can fix with your solution? And that all comes from key questions. The second thing that I've got in terms of psychographics as criteria too, is that they actually see your services or your products as very valuable. If someone inquires with the Promo Donna and they say to me, Ash, I don't mind cold calling. I've actually done it a lot myself, but I know I don't have the time for it. And I would love your team to do that for me. Or they might say something like, I know it takes 100 calls to reach 10 decision makers. That's someone who values all of the work that we need to deliver. So you need to have some key questions for your inquiries or your prospective clients as to whether they actually value what you deliver to the market, because only then are you going to be able to charge, premium prices. And last but not least, will they pay what you're worth? I'm sure as business owners, we all hate those conversations where people are saying, I want a discount, or, oh, I paid another provider X amount, so I expect the same from you. No, you have to be willing to find people that are willing to pay that premium price. And again, it all comes from qualification. Now, one thing I'll point out at this point in my presentation is, I actually have a needs assessment questionnaire that I have my team use when we get incoming inquiries. So if we get an incoming inquiry, they have a series of questions that enables them to identify very quickly, are these people an ideal fit for the Promo Donna? Put in the chat right now if you would like a template of that needs assessment questionnaire, because I found as soon as we put that in place, it was something that completely changed our business. We attracted more of the right clients, and I was having better conversations with people. So now that we have identified our ideal clientele, we want to know what to say to them when we are on the phone. And I'm going to come back to what David was talking about earlier when it comes to achieving more profit and selling, to the right types of clients. one thing we want to make sure we're doing is differentiating ourselves from our competitors. And, I believe that when I'm on the phone, one way of doing that is to have a really great approach that is going to highlight all of those factors, so that I stand out from the crowd. So what I'm going to do over the next kind of 5 to 10 minutes is actually walk all of you through my sales process when I'm on the phone speaking to a prospective client. So step by step, what do I say and when do I say it? Because I find a lot of people I work with, that's why they fear picking up the phone, whether it is cold calling a prospective client or even talking to a client over the phone. They're not sure what to say and when to say it. So let me walk you through my process this morning. So first and foremost, we want to have some really good preparation done before we actually get on the phone. Now, preparation has two components. One of those components I already highlighted with you. We want to know the it factor. We want to know what differentiates the Promo Donna from any other telemarketing cold calling agency in the market. I already know that it's, we don't offshore, we're local, we have, extensive experience, we work B2B, service-based industries. These are all the things that I would highlight with prospective clients. And it also showcases to them why they would pay a premium price with us. If they want to offshore, if they want to go the cheaper option, that's the way to go for them. But if they want quality, high quality, business to business services, they're coming to the Promo Donna. So before you pick up the phone and you're talking to your prospects, you want to make a list of all those differentiators. And also, this is very key, what's in it for them? So we talked earlier about, do they have a point of pain? Do they have a need for your services? When you are putting together that preparation, I want you to think about, how do you help your clients? What attracts your clients to you in the first instance? What are they struggling with? And then when you're on the phone, you'll have this kind of checklist of, these are the things that I need to highlight because, it will resonate with people that are going to be a good fit for your business. So that's preparation component number one. The second is preparing ourselves mentally. I know in my breakout room, I had a mindset coach, which was amazing. This is something I am so passionate about. When it comes to sales, if you don't master your mindset, the bottom line is you're not going to get the results that you want. So before any call session or any sales conversation, you need to be very clear on your goals. It comes back to what David said, start with the end in mind. So what I do is when I'm going to jump on the phone and talk to prospective clients, I actually write down a goal for myself as if I've already achieved it. Because it's funny how our brains start to filter for the results that it thinks it already has. I generated 5 appointments for XYZ client, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the page, and I start to pick up the phone and find the prospects or the yeses that I'm looking for. And the other thing I'll say about our mental preparation is visualize the kind of person you want to be accepted as by your prospects. Now, what do I mean by this? I remember when I started out in sales, my boss, this is before I had the Promo Donna, but when I was selling as a young lady, my boss at the time said, you don't have a lot of authority in your voice. And I said, well, what am I going to do about that? I am a young girl. I'm going, how am I going to change my voice? And she said, I want you to model your voice on people that sound authoritative. And I decided that I would actually model it on news reporters. So Ashley Al-Sadi, National 9 News. I speak down with authority. And it all came about from modeling that behavior. So quite often I tell my team to do the same. Model behavior, work on your voice, work on that tone to connect with your audience. So we do a lot of preparation before we actually get on the phone. But once we have that, we're going to jump into our elevator pitch. Now, I'm going to highlight here that even if you get incoming inquiries, this is still relevant. You have to have a great elevator pitch in place for when someone inquires and says, oh, look, I've heard that Promodon is a great lead generation company. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? I'm going to have a 1 to 2, kind of sentence spiel that's clear and concise, but also highlights, what did we mention earlier? Our differentiators, our USPs. How are we going to help them? And when it comes to the elevator pitch, I'm going to say here, it is definitely an art form. It's something that we have to continually work on for our clients, and you don't always get it in the first shot. So I would say to you as the audience, come up with an elevator pitch with a few different versions and test it out with the market. But again, if we want to charge premium prices and achieve better profit, we need something that is a wow factor and really highlights, why people should pay premium price with us. Now, the next step in my process, once I've done a great pitch, is I ask great questions. Now, I'm going to give you a tip here that if you take nothing away from my presentation, but this, I'll still be very happy. So note this down. The person who talks the most in a sales situation is losing the sale. Now, I have had so many people over the years go, oh my gosh, I've realized why I've lost so many sales leads or sales opportunities. It's because they think they need to bombard people with information when they're on the phone or they're on in a sales situation. But it's actually the opposite that's true. And it also comes back to that qualification questionnaire I told you about. If you've done a great pitch that highlights why you're great, why people should work with you, the next step is we want to ask them great questions to not only determine, do they have a need? Do they have challenges? What are their points of pain? But essentially, that prospect will give you all the information you need to sell back to them. So ask great questions. And also, I'll reinforce here, ask open-ended questions. One of my pet hates is when I hear the team say, is this something you'd be interested in? It's like a white rabbit. People run, right? We're talking Alice in Wonderland, David. And, when it comes to asking open questions, like, tell me a little bit more about your lead generation process. How do you currently generate sales leads? That's going to get the conversation flowing. So open-ended questions are critical. Now, as we move along, we then come to objection handling. Now, this is something that people fear, right? I'm going to get objections from my prospects. They're going to tell me they're not paying premium price, and that's why I'm not going to get profits. Well, I see objections as a request for more information. They haven't yet seen the value in what you're delivering. So some of the ways that I handle objections, I'll actually share. My favorite technique for overcoming objections is to put the objection up front. So if you're sitting in the audience today and you're thinking, there's this objection that always comes up for me, almost include it in your pitch at the beginning. And I'll give you an example. So if I'm working with a signage company and their main objection is people already have a provider, I'll actually say, look, I'm calling from XYZ Signage. We are a signage manufacturer and installer. Now, I know that you would already have a provider in place. However, I find that a lot of, companies like yourself, you'll review or you'll have, moments where you do a rebrand, would you consider reviewing your current, arrangement? So that's putting the objection up front. And then you can also use other strategies like, having empathy with, the person you're talking to, or having solutions that you can offer to that objection. But what I want to reinforce is objections are, you can overcome them. You just, again, need to know what separates you from, the others in the market. And also you've got to come up with a list so that you can, overcome them as they arise. And last but not least, we then come to the close. So once we've done a great pitch, we've asked great questions, we've overcome the objections, we then come to that inevitable close, which is great when someone says, well, where do we go from here? What's the next step? But if you don't come to that easily, if they're still a little hesitant, some of the strategies you can use are things like the now or never close. So this is where we might say, well, yes, I could offer you that discount, but I would need you to sign on the dotted line today. That's creating that sense of urgency. There's also, the hard close, which is also almost like a prepared close. If someone's giving you all the buying signals, you should just have stuff ready to go so that you make the process easy for them. At the end of the day, people want sales and buying to be easy. That's what you need to work on as a business owner and a salesperson, making the process easy for them. So we've done this, where are we? I'll go to the next slide. Oh, we've jumped back here. Oh, hang on. No, we haven't. All right. So we've talked about how do we attract more ideal clients. We've now talked about a great sales process that we can implement to bring about better conversations and attract, or probably convert, the right types of clients, I should say. But how do we also avoid price wars? Because this is something that can still arise and that I know a lot of people struggle with, particularly in markets like this where people say, the economy's hard, people are asking for discounts. How can I make sure I'm charging an optimal price and, ultimately achieving more profit? So the first strategy that I would look at is to evaluate your competition, understand their pricing strategies, and also making sure that you are definitely focused in or honing in on the right types of competitors. So, for example, I mentioned earlier that the Promo Donna, we play in a very different space from someone who's offshored or, an average telemarketing firm that targets consumers. So we want to make sure we're looking at our competitors and what they're charging, and are they playing in the same pond, so to speak. Number two, have an effective communication strategy. We've already covered that slightly with the fact that, we covered that sales process. If we can highlight our value over and over again, people should be willing to pay the premium price. And last but not least, know your customer sensitivity. So, making sure that we have, options for people. There may be something that arises continually for you when it comes to price. If we can be a little flexible with that and also tailor or customize to suit people's budgets and the like, while still knowing, what our premium prices are, that's going to achieve a better outcome for all. So that's it for me. We have come to the end of my presentation. I hope you guys have got so much out of it in terms of, kind of reinforcement of, niching down, targeting the right people, having a really clear process in place when you're actually having conversations with these people, and then a few little tips and tricks as to how you can also charge that premium price. One thing that I want to offer to all of you, other than that questionnaire that I put forward, is, a review of sorts. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm still possibly leaving money on the table, I don't know if I'm achieving that premium profit because perhaps I'm not working with the right people, or I don't have a great sales pitch, or maybe I do need more sales leads. I am running a sales review. This is completely obligation free, but this half-hour session will really enable you to get to the nitty-gritty of where is your sales at and what areas could you improve. So if you'd like to take me up on that, put in the chat box sales review, or you could definitely reach out to me on any of the details below on that slide. So thank you all so much. And yeah, I hope you're able to achieve a lot more profit after these presentations.
Let's give Ashley a nice round of applause. Awesome. Awesome. You played right into my plan, which is teaching people how to create a sales process, because this is not just about you being able to sell. It's about having a system that you can get other people to follow. And I think sometimes people go, well, I have no problem with sales. I just have a problem with X. I'm going to say it's not about you. It's about the workflow in your business. It's about the system. So if your business doesn't have a sales process with documented scripting, how do you expect your team to follow the process? So I think anybody who doesn't have a sales process yet or has one that's loose, it's worth having a chat with Ashley, because just a couple of comments she made today has already got me thinking about, do we need to change the way we ask our questions? Do we need to do this? How are we making sure? And really, you should be developing this system over time, because as you iterate on your sales process, you will get better and you'll allow it to be more transferable to other people. So please take advantage of getting some insight from Ashley if you feel that your sales process needs some work, even if your attraction mechanism. Because when she talked about outbound telemarketing, it is still one of the most powerful outreach processes that exist. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much. And yeah, couldn't agree more. I've definitely had those arguments over the year of, isn't this method dead? And I tell you what, everyone, people crave that human to human connection.
Mhm.
So if you can pick up the phone, you'll be leaps ahead of your competition. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. We have our next and probably cornerstone presenter for today, because the title was Putting Profit First This Financial Year. So now that we've talked about structure and plans, and now we've talked a bit about sales process, what I'd like to talk about is the cash. Because, you know, there's an old saying in business, what is it? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king. And I think sometimes people forget that the profitability of your business is really the number that you should be measuring, not revenue. And so I've got Marissa Punchon, who's also known as the Miss Moneypenny, the Money Queen. She's got so many titles out there because she's just been doing money all her life. And she helps people understand finances. She helps people putting process in place, and very recently decided that profit first was not just a good idea, but something that she was going to take on with both hands. So let's hand over to Marissa so she can talk about how you can put profit first and make sure that your business is makes permanent profit. So over to you, Marissa.
Thank you for that, David. Hi, everyone. Yes, I have been immersed in teaching people how to make, keep and enjoy more money for many, many years. And I think one of the main reasons for that is that I am completely driven myself to live life on my own terms. And I really want to help my clients do exactly the same. Okay, so what I'm going to show you today is a step-by-step process so you can embark on a path to solid, and the key word here is predictable profit in your business. Not just getting to the end of the financial year and saying, oh, have I made profit? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. Because that's what generally happens with a lot of businesses prior to the financial year. They just hope. So this system, and it's known as Profit First, is a cash management system to ensure you always have money in your bank account. It's an established system, so your business makes profit, but not only makes profit, you actually increase your profit the more you stick to it. And it's also a guarantee that you have money in the bank, not just on the books. So how many of you will have a look at your profit and loss or your income statement, and it says down the bottom, oh, you've made a profit, but then you think, well, okay, I've made the profit, but where's the money? You don't actually see the cash. So what we want to do is learn how to have that profit as cash, and so you can put profit first this financial year. Oops. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I'm a money coach and a Profit First professional. I've been working with finance for over 20 years, which makes me feel really, really old. But I can tell you, when I first started working in finance, I used one of those little green paper books, and we had the little file. So it's actually been a long time. I work with clients from all over the world, one-on-one and in groups. And I've been working, I had been working with the Entourage, which is a business school in Sydney with a global community of over 500,000 members. And I would run workshops in financial management and money mindset for the team at the Entourage. I also was very involved in the Ausmumpreneur Network, which is an organisation that empowers mums in business. So working as one of their judges and also as their money expert. And as I said before, my mission is to show small businesses how to make, keep and enjoy more money, reduce stress, prevent financial loss, find peace and joy, and live life on their own terms. So how does your business make profit? And this is a really interesting question because a lot of people don't understand how your business actually makes a profit. People concentrate on money coming in, and then they look at what's happening down the bottom, but it's actually what happens in between. And that is the key to how your business makes a profit. And also, where do you go to find the profit your business has made? And so they're the things that we'll be chatting about today. And as I said previously, where's the money? You look at your profit and loss, you say, well, I've made $20,000 worth of profit, but I don't have that money in the bank account. If it's not in the bank account, it's useless. You might as well just get a big pen and just scrub it out because it ain't there. It's nothing. It's just what you pay tax on. It's what you give the tax man. So the thing about Profit First is it actually flips what we have taught traditionally about financial education. So as business owners and anyone that does any sort of financial education, we learn that your sales, take away your expenses equals your profit. So what do? We concentrate on what comes first, and then we ignore what comes last. So we run our business, we make the sales, we spend our money, and we just hope that we have profit left over. So the purpose of Profit First is actually putting profit first, as it says. You want to put profit first and then work with what you have left over. And the traditional accounting equation, it puts profit last. It makes you focus on the numbers rather than the cash in the bank account, and it actually ignores the human behavior around money. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is what we do is we get all busy making sales, we make our expenses, we have a look at the bank account, we say, well, we've got money, and so we keep on spending. However, Parkinson's law, and I always talk about this with the toothpaste. You've got your toothpaste, you've got loads of toothpaste, you put it on your brush, the brush falls into the sink, it's like, I've got heaps more toothpaste, you keep on putting more on. And that's what it's like with your bank account. If you open up your bank account, you've got loads of money in there, even though you might have your BAS due tomorrow, or you might have wages due, which could even drain your bank account, you still have this false sense that you have money to spend. Just like you've got the false sense of having endless toothpaste. If you only have a very small amount of toothpaste in that tube, what you will do is you will squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it until you get as much as you can on your toothbrush. And that's exactly how you should be running your business. Really keep it lean. You don't have to scrimp and save on anything, but keep it lean rather than just being willy-nilly about spending everything. And this also applies to time as well. So once again, Parkinson's law. We have all this money, we think we've got loads of time, and then bang, we're in trouble. Debt comes in, ATO debt, something happens, and it's like, well, we've got a problem now. So instead of being proactive, what you do is you actually become reactive. And when you become reactive to a situation, you lose control. So Profit First actually puts you in the driver's seat, and it enables you to take control of your money rather than other outside circumstances taking control of it for you. Now, bank balance accounting, as I said before, when you have a look at your bank account, and we all get our phones, we have a look at our bank accounts. If you've got all of your money in one bank account, you don't know what actually the true sense of how much money you've got in there. So Profit First allows you, and I will show you how, to look at your bank account and know exactly, right, I've got this amount of money I can spend. And the wonderful thing about Profit First is it helps you leverage your habits. So, we're all human, we all do things a certain way. So let's try not to rewrite things completely. Let's just work with how we actually, as humans, operate. And it's all about behavior.
Who's that?
Yeah, sorry, what was that? So it's all about behavior. So it's changing, flipping it. Sales, take away profit, and then what we have left over that's our expenses. That's what we have to spend. So it's actually putting things into small plates. So instead of going to a buffet and having this massive buffet and eating everything we can and doing that on a cruise ship and then leaving the cruise ship really fat and unhealthy, put things into small plates. And so they're actually manageable. And so this is the cornerstone of Profit First. You have serving trays, you have your main bank account. So income comes into your main bank account. And then from there, take out money that you know you're going to have to pay for your GST because that's not your money. Then put money aside into another bank account for your owner's pay. And then another bank account for your operating expenses. And then finally, you open up 2 bank accounts that you cannot touch or you cannot easily transfer money in and out of. And one is where you put your profit away and the other is where you put your tax away. So you've got nice little plates with everything manageable. With Profit First, what we do is we actually calculate things according to your business turnover. So in a nutshell, depending on where you are, you have certain percentages that you work towards. Now, when you start, you don't start off that way. You start off with, look, you could even start off saying, look, I'm going to put 1% away of all my sales income into a profit account. And that's a perfect start. But it's about starting as opposed to wanting to make it perfect. So you have your starting point and then you know, and it could take over, look, with some of my clients, it takes 18 months to actually get to that point where they're putting away the money in the percentages that are recommended by Profit First. But the point is you're actually making a start. And what we do is we start with looking at what your expenses are. And then you start going through reducing your expenses, because the goal for Profit First, if you're on a business that runs up to $250,000 turnover, is to have 30% of your money for expenses, 15% for tax, 50% of your pay, 5% profit. So look at reducing or eliminating your expenses. And we all know you can go through, there are so many subscriptions you can reduce or you can eliminate. There are many, many things you can do to get better deals. So it's all about looking at reducing your expenses. And as I said before, look at different stages until you get to your goal. So why do we put the money away? The biggest reason is so we avoid temptation. We avoid just quickly, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind doing this, let's just move the money over. When you have Profit First, there's no temptation at all. But the beauty is you've actually got money put aside. And interestingly, I noticed Peter Bird just put up in the little chat and talked about how the problem is that how do you get more staff if you've got cash flow issues? So it's a catch-22. Exactly. But if you put money away, so you put away profit into an account at the end of a quarter, you have got that money that you wouldn't have had previously. Now you can use that to grow your business. You can use it to increase your staff. You can use it to buy more assets in your business. You can put it aside for the just in cases, or you can pay yourself more. And I can tell you now that businesses that had implemented Profit First or a system similar to Profit First during COVID got through COVID with much less stress and anxiety than those that didn't, because they had that money put away. And so you'd also debt. Why pay? Debt just drains your bank account. The interest you're paying goes to the bank. If you can use Profit First, and Profit First has got an amazing debt elimination calculator. If anyone would like a copy, I'd like me to send you the calculator. Put debt calculator into the chat box. And I'm not just talking about bad debt, but how many people have motor vehicles or other assets that you've purchased and you may have on chattel mortgage and you're just paying it down. So the debt calculator is perfect for you to get a good overview of how you can pay that debt down faster And if you've got your profit put away at the end of the quarter, you can use that as a big chunk to pay down debt even further. So there's a beauty in that as well. And implement a rhythm. So once again, say once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, you're going to sit down, work out all the sales that have come in, and then put certain percentages away into your different accounts. But do it on a rhythm. Make it a habit. Make it a habit. And as David said, don't have the photocopy of the previous years and just put it back down for this financial year coming up. Actually make a habit of doing things and sticking to things if you want to make things different. You know, the old saying, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So if you're ready to make that change, do it. Make a start. Go through the months. Have a look at how your business is going, evaluate things, adjust things. Hey, I can put more money into my owner's pay. I've begun to increase my sales and I'm now going to decrease my operating expenses. I've got more money in the middle. That can go to lots of different areas. I owe money to the tax man. Doesn't matter. I've got the money put aside. It wasn't my money in the first place. GST, not my money in the first place. PAYG, not my money in the first place. If you put it away, you don't see it, it's there to pay. And the beauty of Profit First, and it's very similar to the Barefoot Investor, you can transfer it to your personal life. So it's all about making your money work for you, putting yourself in the driver's seat rather than just allowing things to happen. I have worked with a number of businesses over the past few months that have got really caught during COVID. I've worked very hard to help them restructure their business to avoid liquidation. If they'd had that money before, they would not have got into the situations they've got themselves into. I've worked with other businesses that have had that money put aside and they have, as I said before, they have got through COVID a lot easier with a lot less stress. So it's about making your money work for you. Get the book. Profit First book is fantastic. There's a Profit First 101 course. However, oops. Oh, what have I done? Oh my God, this is like, Ashley, this is my pinnacle of I was going to make an offer and it's disappeared. My offer's disappeared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to put it in the chat box, please, because I was going to offer a Profit First Kickstart. I normally do not offer these. I'm going to take you off that because make your money work for you. So I am going to offer free of charge 30 minutes of my time if you want to have a conversation with me where I will unpack everything and help you get a plan in place to begin implementing Profit First in your business. Then contact me, Ara. What am I going to do? I don't have the screen.
Okay, keep talking. I'll find it for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Look, just, yeah, put in Profit First Kickstart. I did have a really good little QR code that you could book straight into my calendar. But really, look, sometimes you just need to talk to someone like me. If Profit First is something that you have been thinking of wanting to implement, or you've actually started implementing it, but you're not too sure whether you've done it right, have a chat with me. I can go through it with you. I can move you in the right direction and get you started. And it will just give you peace of mind that you can start this year, because we're only 2 weeks into July. We've got a clean slate. Make it different. Make this year different. Have money put aside for yourself. Grow your business. Have the wage that you want to give yourself and live life on your own terms, rather than feeling as though the whole world is pushing you in all sorts of different directions.
Awesome. Marissa, thanks so much. It's interesting that you said at the start of the presentation, I've done thousands of presentations and this one today is just...
I know. But you know what? It's just, this is real. I suppose this is what it's like. It's real, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what, and when it comes to money, I deal with reality, and sometimes things don't work out like your slideshow, and you write your slide at the end, and it's like that with your business and in your finances. Sometimes they just don't work out, but you
This
just
is what
have
we're going to do. Into the chat box, if you want to
Mm.
have a Profit First Kickstart with Marissa. Now, I'm going to suggest that this should be a non-negotiable for everybody because it's funny, right? We all run businesses. The financial year started, and very few people consider how much profit they want to make this year as a goal, right? They think about, I just need a few more clients. I just need to solve this problem. But I would like you to start the year with saying, this is how much money I want to make as profit. So if you're interested in having a chat with Marissa, she knows her stuff. Just type in Profit First Kickstart into the chat. She'll go backwards and try and uncover what's gone wrong with her technology, but she will reach out to you and book a time.
Yeah, I can do money, but not technology, obviously.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I think everyone knows who you are. You've been very clear. And I think like the magic of what you said is simple, right? Most people, profits left over. So what they do is they pay all their bills, and whatever's left is what I get to keep. And to me, that's a bit of an odd way of running a business, considering the purpose of running a business is to make a profit. So I think deciding what your profit needs to be, making sure that it's there as part of your budget is key. So yes, so please reach out to Marissa. Now, I just noticed you picked up on a question Pete had that I wanted to answer. And Pete's question was, how can I employ people when I can't afford their wage? And it comes down to a really important, and it ties in with what you're saying, Marissa, is to me, every cent that I spend in my business is an investment. What I mean by that is I need to see a return. And one of my rules for employment is when you can half afford someone's wage is when you should employ them. Now, there's one caveat on that, right? You need to have a plan that shows that them working in your business will increase the revenue or the profitability of that business. This is metrics. We talked about tracking, right? They should have KPIs connected to their role. And when they work with you, if they meet those KPIs, then your business should increase. Now, if you're not employing using that methodology, then you run the risk of employing people just because you need help, not because you need to improve the business. So first rule of thumb, employ people when you can half afford their wage, but you need to have a plan that shows where the money's coming from. Okay. Number two, put profit first, right? So don't just go and spend every cent you've got on wages, right? Invest in wages, which means I want to see a return. Okay. So make sure you have the planning mechanism in play. And number three, look, the right time to recruit is not when you have the money to pay for people. The right time to recruit is when the right person is sitting across the table from you. Because if they're the right person, they will be worth their weight in gold. And I think the biggest issue most people in business have is they really don't know how to find the right people, or they don't know how to tell if it's the right person. So get the skill of recruiting, get the skill of assessing whether someone will produce for your business, and it becomes investment, not expense. Now, if there's any other questions, we've got a couple of minutes. So maybe into the chat box, one of two things. If you have a question, now's your chance for the three presenters. If you haven't got a question, what has been the top three takeaways that you've gotten out of today's presentation? What are the top three lessons that you've had from our 90 minutes together? I'd like to see in the chat box, what have you got from today's session? So let's get a few people into the chat box. What have you learned from today? 1, 2, or 3 lessons from today into the chat box. Let's see what we come up with. Marissa is a joy to work with, and her teachings are very empowering. I would 100% agree. Greg says thanks. That's cool. The person who talks the most in the sales convo is losing the sale. That is a brilliant little quote, that one. Yeah, having clear accounts and allocating money early, right? Qualify well, phone is still cool, and pay yourself first. Brilliant.
The phone is very cool.
Yeah, there's one more here. Different ways of looking at the traditional profit formula. Yeah, because profit should be the main thing, not the last thing. Work on a 5-year business plan. Excellent. Consider hiring someone to make the sales calls. Definitely. And profit first. And one more here. Speak with authority. Yes. So we've got some really great tips out of today. And the reason I asked this question is you can walk away from today and go to your next appointment, and it was a great presentation. You can take 1 or 2 elements today and change the way you think. Your business will change for you. So I really appreciate everyone investing the time today. Sophie, the clarity needed in sales process, wonderful presentation. Ashley, preparation needed for sales. Ideal clients have problems that you can solve with your eyes closed. Yeah, you want to be the best in your space. And you want people, when they talk to you, go, you're just chalk and cheese compared to everybody else. So getting your messaging right. It sounds like we got some great lessons out of today, guys. I am going to implore you. I'd love you to talk to everybody on this call. Like Ashley is great when it comes to sales process. Marissa is great when it comes to cash. And if you're not sure how to plan your business or the next stage of growth in your business, please feel free to come to our Self-Managed Teams Mastery Summit next week. I think that the people have been through that. It's an awesome way of planning this financial year to the nitty-gritty. So we choose our path in business. Yes, thanks, Sophie. Guys, it's been an amazing day. Let's give these presenters a nice warm round of applause for their awesome content today. It's been great. And look, if anyone needs to reach out to these people, we'll send out follow-up emails for everyone to check in. But I think the best time to book a time with these girls is right now. So let's get this done. Other than Marissa, who you have to just put in the chat box. That's good. She's human.
Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to everybody and send a link through so we can do some of those sales reviews, which I'm excited to do with everybody.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Ash, thanks very much. And Marissa, thank you. And the rest of you, thanks very much for your time this morning and attention. And best of luck with your businesses.
Yes. So good to see everyone too. There were so many familiar